Welcome to the fight game. He's Icewater, I'm Puma, or if you'd rather call it Gap Band 2. The brothers to talk about the fight game, MMA, boxing. Check us out, like, comment, subscribe. So we're going to talk about the Bivol and Better Beef fight. I didn't see the whole fight in its entirety, but I did see highlights and clips. I read articles, and there's a lot of people saying that this should have been a draw, that Bivol got robbed. Bivol has taken it like a champ, saying, "Hey, it happened. We're going to move on." I could easily see this being a trilogy where Bivol gets another shot at this, and them having a rubber match with this. But your thoughts on it? Because I know you caught the fight. I thought it was going to be at night. I took a nap thinking I was going to be up all night, and I woke up and the fight was over. So, your thoughts about this fight, man?
I thought it was a really good fight. I mean, you had two guys that were undefeated. It was a contrast in styles where Bival's more of a kind of a boxer, but he has the ability to be. He has power too, and he kind of adjusts to what was going on. Well, Beterbiev is just more of a straightforward guy that he throws punches and bunches, but he throws punches with bad intentions. And I thought that's what was really good. But there's a lot of controversy around this. It was a very close fight. There was a lot of I read a lot of things where a lot of people were saying that because Bafal suffered a lot of damage to his face, then people were saying that he was more aggressive, and then other people said that
Better Beef was a bit more aggressive.
yeah, I'm saying not Bafal. I'm sorry, Better Vive. Yeah, Better Vive was more aggressive, and Better Vive was. I even heard he was more dominant in the championship rounds. So I'm like, okay, that's all well and good, but if by watching it you see that this other guy is putting out a lot of power, or not so much power, but he's connecting more in his punches, and you throw a bunch of more punches, how are you ahead?
Right.
And granted, I think Bivol, if he had to do it all over again, he would have threw more punches 10, 11, and 12. But if you're winning the fight by like so many rounds, it's more of a draw. And that's what people were saying. And when I thought Bivol, at the worst case scenario, deserved a draw if he didn't win. Even to the point where Benavidez's corner was saying, you got to knock him out to win this fight.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think he was surprised when he got the decision. And to have the fight being scored by the one judge, 116 to 112,
Yeah, I
that
saw
was
the
amazing.
judging. It was 115 to 113, 116 to 112, and then it was 14-14. I'm like, okay, are we all watching different fights here?
116, 112. There, I just don't believe there was more dominant like that. I think Baval could have done more, but I thought he did enough early on to grab a decision or win the fight, or grab a decision or have a draw. And then, when I went back and looked at the box numbers, it showed me even more. Total punches, Baval landed 33% of his punches to 20% for Beterbiev. That's telling you if he was more consistent with what he was throwing.
Right.
And just because you throw hard punches and half of them were not getting through, I mean, what are you supposed to do? And that was the other part too. When you think about the power punches too, Baval connected on 50% of his power punches. Beterbiev only connected on 29% of his power punches. So I mean, you have the right to decide or choose who you think won the fight, but 116, 112 is crazy. I think it should have been a draw. It reminds me of, I remember watching when people were saying there's a split decision, and they thought Hoya beat Mayweather
Right.
when he was holding him the whole time behind the head and stuff. And I was at that fight. And I'm like, how did you get that out of that? So I usually don't agree with Eddie Hearn, the promoter, who came out and blast everybody saying there's no way in hell he thought that Bivol lost that fight because he boxed the way you're supposed to. This is a dude that's supposed to knock him out, been knocking everybody out, and he did what he's supposed to do to win. And you still lose, and you knew it was some shenanigans going. I think when the Sheik came out and said he thought Bivol would too. So I'm
Wow.
like, who? What they doing? So I don't know. I have Bivol winning, And if he didn't, if you don't think he won, I had it where it should have been the draw at best.
Okay, and I said this to you during our, pre-meeting before the show, is that I can definitely see this happening with these particular fighters. They seem so evenly matched, and what I was able to see and what I was able to read and hear is that there's going to be a rematch and then maybe a rubber match. This is a trilogy fight because these guys definitely went at it. I think there's more to see with these two particular fighters. But the question I have for you is that does Canelo Alvarez want anything with these two particular fighters, right?
Um, I would say maybe with better beef, right? Because I think if you move, I mean, Better Reeves is a very strong puncher, and he comes out, he's a bigger guy. But I think that Canelo would think he would be a little bit more quicker, and that says a lot because Canelo's not the quickest guy.
No.
But if he could move around from get away from Better Beef, he might try and try to go after him. But Bivol is he's a boxer and he moves. And in fact, when they asked him as to who punched harder, he mentioned that he thought in a one shot punch, Canelo was a stronger puncher. But what Better he does more than anything is he punches real hard, but he punches in bunches. So in his combinations, four or five, four or five punch combinations, he's giving it to you, but it's not as hard as just a one shot punch to try to knock you out.
Right.
But I think that Canelo would have a better chance with Better Lee because he would be moving around, and he has the power too to try to knock him out too. So I don't know. I mean, you got to give it to him. I was just really surprised when at the end of the fight you could just see how Better Eve when he looked like he was shocked that he won.
Yeah. And I got to give it to Baval. He didn't go the route of some of the fighters now. When they lose, they want to blame the judges and all that. He's like, hey, that's the way they saw it. That's the way it's called. We move on and we come back. And that's to me a true warrior saying, okay,
Yeah,
I didn't have it tonight. I could have done better, but we'll be ready next time. And I'm pretty much assured that he'll be ready next time for this fight. So there was a couple of other fights that we talked about last week, and you were right on the money on these particular fights with Nakatani. He's him winning his fight, but the monster's brother Tacoma did not win his fight. He was supposed to go through his younger brother, the monster's younger brother, to get to the monster. Now there's nothing but air and opportunity. Your thoughts on those fights, man?
yeah. Nakatani just keep doing what he does, right? And for those that don't think he's ready for the top 10, I don't know what else he has to do. He knocks him out. He's undefeated. He's keep moving up. But you would prefer to throw Bam Bam Rodriguez ahead of him. I don't understand that one. But true to form, that's what he did. Takuma Inoue, the monster's little brother, had a fight over the weekend too, and he lost. Lost by decision, I think it was. So Nakatani said, wait a minute, you fight my brother first, then you can fight me afterwards. Nakatani like, he lost. What you now what? You waiting on? So that's what I'm talking with Nakatani. Like now they're saying that there's a chance that Nakatani could fight the monster in the Tokyo Dome sometime next year in the summertime. I hope that I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, this is gonna be one of the best fights, action-packed fights we've seen in a long time. It reminds me again of Manny Pacquiao versus Juan Manuel Marquez in fight number one. These are two stellar champions. They both hit hard. They're little guys, but they throw that leather, man. They throw that leather, and we know how great Inoue is, the monster. Everybody talking about how great he is. And I think Nakatani is going to be just give him a definitely a battle for his money. It may not. I don't think we've seen anything like that since the first time that the monster fought Nonito Donaire, which is one hell of a fight before too. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope it happens.
Now we're going to talk about the Tim Tszyu fight next week. He's coming up with a fight on October 19th for the IBF Junior Middleweight title. So we'll talk about that next week. And he's trying to get back into the mix of the championship realm with all those other fighters. But you had some news about Crawford and Fandora. I thought it was a go. What's happening there?
Yeah, I think it was WO, if I'm not mistaken, was trying to force uh, Fundora to face Crawford as the mandatory, right? And that's what they're talking about for a long time. And then Fundora was like, nah, I really want to fight Spence first. And they were going back and forth. But apparently, they've come to an agreement that Fedor Crawford was like, yeah, you can fight whoever, because I think they gave him an opportunity now. So the opportunity would be that um, Fedor will fight Spence right after the New Year, whatever time they early in the New Year, and now that Crawford would have the opportunity, because I guess there was an issue supposedly between the negotiations between Tszyu and the Sheik. Sheik was like trying to put some things together. It's like, no, we don't like that. So now they're saying that that's kind of been settled, if you will. And now Tszyu is gonna, if Tszyu wins his fight, he will get the opportunity to fight Terrence Crawford. So they would split like $40 million, and Tszyu was all about that. And Crawford was like, yeah, they would fight in Saudi Arabia. So that'd be one hell of a fight. So it still puts Crawford back in the mix of winning a belt. And then, of course, you know how that goes. If he wins that, whoever wins between Fundora and Spence asks for another opportunity for Crawford. Crawford wants to get as many belts as possible. So you get this one, then you, of course, you face the winner of that one, and it just continues to build up his legacy at 154. So imagine Crawford, if he does wait for that opportunity to fight Tszyu, beats him, beats the winner of Fundora Spence at 154. And then, of course, like I told you, when it comes down to it, it's only one more fight to go. We know what it is. I ain't even going to say the name. I am not going to say the name. Then that's how you get legacies. Okay. But we have to wait one fight at a time. But I try to think ahead. I'm talking about legacies.
Yeah, I'm looking at Fandora, and I'm like, I feel bad for him because I don't really think he's ready. He's a savvy fighter, but I think sometimes the strategy goes out the window because he could really kind of use his jab and his length to kind of keep fighters away, but sometimes that just doesn't work out in his fights. And I remember him, going down Timber and one fight's like, you know what, you got to use your advantage. So I don't know. I haven't seen Spence. There are no too much fights for Spence. So who's to say that he takes out Spence and then goes to Crawford and then the rest is history.
Yeah, but I guess my point to you and the question I would ask legitimately is, do we know what Spence we're going to get? And
Yes.
and I love Spence. I love his style. I mean, we had no reservations as him being. I mean, both of us thought he would beat Crawford.
Yeah.
We had no reservations in believing that. But now, when you see as great as Crawford is, you saw the performance in the back of your mind. You had to ask yourself, did a lot of the accidents and some of the other things that he went through really affect Spence and where he's at today?
Right.
Has he really been changed? Now you don't have your main trainer anymore, right? You have a new trainer supposedly. So how are these things going to affect him? Is he the same guy? The main guy, the guy that we've known before on that level, Spence, that is, of course, we think he would destroy or really have an upper hand in versus Fundora. But if he's not the same guy, one thing we do know, Fundora can throw a punch and he can catch you. I mean, even say what you want to about the gash and the cut against Tszyu, Fundora did not run away.
Right.
His face, his mouth, and I think he had a broken nose, a broken jaw. He stayed right there. So I understand what you're saying. He doesn't put himself in danger, but he doesn't walk away from the fight. He stayed right in there. And even with the fight against Lubin, that was one of the greatest fights we've seen in a long time. He's there. He's there for it, bro. He's there for it. And I think he says, I got a puncher's chance. I'm not afraid.
He's Icewater. I'm Puma, and this is the fight game.